I don't haul food in a refrigerated truck. I haul privacy. Fresh produce decals on the outside. Legit cold chain numbers. Inside, carpeted walls, soundproofed, reinforced. A steel bed bolted to the floor. No names, no records. Cops never show. 5 years, no accidents. Until that woman burst out, crying. That day's pickup spot was a riverside park outside town. The guy, middle-aged, overweight, his shirt drenched in sweat. The woman with him looked like she didn't belong in this world. Tank top, shorts, skin so pale it almost hurt to look at. Her gaze was calm, too calm. He tossed me the cash.
3 hours.
The door slammed shut. I started the engine. I could hear faint noises from the back, but for me, time seemed to freeze. The long 3 hours finally ended. When I opened the cargo door, she crashed straight into me, shaking, barely able to speak.
Please, help me.
On the bed, the man was already dead. No struggle, no pain. A smile still on his face, like he'd just felt something intensely good. I've seen plenty of drug overdoses. They don't look like that. I pulled out my phone. She grabbed my wrist.
If you call the cops, we're both finished.
She knew what I did. Knew my routes. Knew I didn't have permits.
I'll do anything. Just don't let them trace it.
I hesitated. Then I nodded. We dragged the body to an abandoned quarry pond. Over 400 pounds. But it felt wrong. Too light. Like an empty shell. The body sank fast. No floating. No resistance. She stood there, watching the water. She said her name was Chloe. She moved into my place. Said she had no family, no past.
Nothing ever stays with me. I get hungry.
My dog went crazy on day one. Hackles up, low growls, backing away. Nothing would calm him. A week later, I started falling apart. Dizzy, weak, sleepless. When I looked in the mirror, I barely recognized myself. Chloe, meanwhile, just kept getting more beautiful. To avoid being alone with her, I invited friends over for cards. Drinks, chips, a game that spiraled out of control. One guy kept staring at her. It made me uneasy. By dawn, I'd lost everything and owed him more. He smiled and said,
"Let her spend the night with me. We're even."
I agreed. The next morning, he never left. His shoes were still by the door. The bedroom was too quiet. In the closet, his clothes neatly folded. At the bottom, something yellow. Cold. Supple. Not fabric. Something that shouldn't be there. Marked with a black devil tattoo. I ran. Drove until my hands went numb. On the road, I hit something. A white wolf. The body gave off a strange, sickly sweet smell. I had no cash when I escaped, so I thought about selling it. At a street market, an old man stopped me.
You've been marked. That wasn't a demon. It was hunger.
That's when it hit me. The smell in the bedroom. Exactly the same as the wolf. He told me there was a way. The bones of a woman who died full of resentment. The heart of someone who truly deserved it. I knew where to go. This part wasn't hard. When I got to Wally's place, the table was already set, like he knew I was coming. I kept eating, bowl after bowl. It wasn't hunger. It was that hollowed-out feeling. His eyes kept sweeping my face, asking if something was wrong. I shook my head. He clearly relaxed. He said what happened a year ago was over. The cops wouldn't come back. He sounded way too practiced. We drank too much. He said that route wasn't chosen by chance. There were hidden ponds nearby. Drop something in, and it's like it never existed. When he said it, his eyes changed. Cold, certain. I kept refilling his glass. My gaze drifted to his chest. I told him I needed one last favor. The alcohol hit him. He swayed. Then he collapsed across the table. That night, I came home with a large bag on my back. Chloe smiled softly.
You're late. Have something to eat. You look empty.
She followed me into the bedroom. Her fingers brushed the bag.
What's this?
She pulled the zipper. Saw the bone. She lunged at me. Her face twisted out of shape. A green mist poured from her skin. I struck once. She screamed, nothing human about it. Then, everything went quiet. On the floor, a white wolf lay still. I drank the blood, burned the remains. That night, I slept deeper than I ever had. When the cops knocked, I wasn't fully awake. They said I was a murder suspect. They had the whole thing on video. I smiled and told them they were wrong. She wasn't human. They didn't smile back. As they took me away, I saw her in the crowd. A different face, same eyes. She was watching me, smiling.
As the cops dragged the man away, he kept fighting it, swearing he was the real victim. That's how people are. When fear hits its breaking point, they rush to pin it on someone worse. A scapegoat. Someone like me. Actually, my name isn't Chloe. Names are just containers, like skin. I never touch kids, never the innocent, never the ones who haven't crossed the line. I just wait. Wait for them to come to me. Wait for them to pay. At that moment, they've already agreed to be taken. The first man who died in the car, that wasn't an accident. He was empty because he'd hollowed himself out. I only took what he'd already decided to leave behind. The tattooed guy thought a deal meant control. Pay the price, own everything. He never considered he was part of the stake. I folded his clothes. Just good manners. That runaway driver, he was close to the truth. I drained him piece by piece because a year ago, he got my only friend Mia killed. So I tracked him down and planted surveillance gear inside his car. He murdered his own mentor. That part didn't surprise me at all. When people are staring at death, they always choose themselves. In the crowd, I slipped into a new face, a new name, a new life. I watched them push him into the car. He wasn't chosen. In the end, he was always going to be food. The next car is already on the road. New driver, new route, new rules. You always ask, why me? Simple, because you showed up.